History is full of dates, names, and facts, but sometimes it's also full of questions, events that leave historians baffled, theories that lack solid proof, and stories that seem stranger than fiction. In this video, we'll uncover the world's most puzzling historical events and attempt to explain what might really have happened. In the summer of 1518, a strange and terrifying phenomenon swept through the streets of Strasbourg, a city in what is now modern-day France. It began with a single woman, Frau Trophea, who suddenly and inexplicably began dancing in the town square, her movements wild and uncontrollable. What seemed like an isolated incident quickly turned into something far more disturbing. Within days, dozens of others had joined her, and soon the number of dancers grew into the hundreds, all writhing and twirling in a frenzied trance-like state. Men, women, and even children were soon seen swaying and spinning uncontrollably in the streets of Strasbourg. What began as an isolated incident quickly escalated into mass hysteria. By the end of the month, over 400 people had been consumed by the mysterious affliction, dancing relentlessly day and night with no explanation and seemingly no ability to stop themselves. Eyewitnesses described scenes of people collapsing from sheer exhaustion, some convulsing, others screaming in anguish, and many succumbing to heart attacks, strokes, or sheer physical breakdown. Musicians were even brought in to try to play out the madness, hoping the dancers would exhaust themselves to safety, but this only seemed to encourage more to join in. The townspeople watched in horror as their neighbours died with their feet still moving. Doctors at the time were completely baffled by the mysterious outbreak. They dismissed theories of demonic possession or witchcraft, opting instead for a more physical explanation. Believing the afflicted needed to purge the illness through movement, the city's authorities took drastic measures, hiring musicians and even building wooden stages to encourage more dancing. Ironically, this only intensified the mania, drawing larger crowds and worsening the deadly crisis. Modern historians have suggested several possible explanations for the dancing plague. One leading theory is ergot poisoning, caused by a toxic mold that grows on damp rye bread. This fungus contains alkaloids similar to LSD and can trigger vivid hallucinations, seizures, and irrational behavior. Ergotism has been linked to past mass psychosis events, making it a plausible culprit behind the strange and deadly outbreak in 1518. Another theory? Mass psychogenic illness, a kind of psychological contagion where stress, fear, and belief converge. Strasbourg, at the time, had been ravaged by famine and disease. People were desperate, deeply religious, and likely traumatized. In such an environment, it's possible the mind could trigger the body to revolt in unison. Eventually, the dancers collapsed. The phenomenon stopped as mysteriously as it began. No official cause was ever found. No one could explain why it started, or why it ended. To this day, the dancing plague remains one of the strangest medical and historical mysteries ever recorded. A town that danced, not for joy, but for reasons we still don't fully understand. In the summer of 1587, more than 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, just off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Their goal was bold, to establish the first permanent English colony in the New World. Led by explorer and artist John White, the group included men, women, and children, families hoping for a fresh start across the ocean. They built homes, planted crops, and began life in this unfamiliar land. But when John White returned to England for supplies and came back 3 years later, he found the settlement deserted. The only clue left behind was a single word carved into a wooden post, Croatoan. There were no signs of violence, no remains, no graves, just empty buildings slowly being reclaimed by the wild. It was as if over 100 people had simply vanished into thin air. The word pointed to a nearby island and a Native American tribe, but no confirmed trace of the settlers was ever found there. The disappearance of the Roanoke colony became one of the most haunting and enduring mysteries in American history, sparking theories ranging from assimilation with local tribes to more sinister or supernatural explanations. John White believed the settlers may have relocated to Croatoan Island, home to a friendly indigenous tribe they had known before. The carved word Croatoan seemed to support this hope. But as White prepared to search the nearby island, a storm damaged his ships, and worsening weather made further exploration impossible. Heartbroken and stranded, he was forced to return to England without answers. He never saw the settlers again, including his own granddaughter Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. Their fate remains one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries. Some theories suggest the colonists assimilated with Native American tribes. Local oral histories tell of light-skinned people living among them. Modern DNA testing of tribal descendants has been inconclusive, but the theory remains possible. Others believe they may have starved, been attacked, or tried to sail back to England and perished at sea. At the time, England was embroiled in war with Spain, which delayed White's return and left the colony without supplies for years. More fringe theories suggest darker, more mysterious explanations for the Roanoke disappearance. Some propose that Spanish forces still hostile to English colonization may have secretly wiped out the colony. Others suspect pirates raided the settlement or that internal conflict led to their demise. But the most chilling ideas go beyond the natural. Tales of supernatural forces, ancient curses, or lost civilizations. Some even believe the settlers uncovered something forbidden, something they were never meant to see, and were deliberately erased from history, leaving only questions behind. To this day, the fate of the Roanoke colony remains one of America's oldest and most haunting mysteries, a colony that vanished, leaving behind only a word and a legend. In January 1959, 9 experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute began a daring expedition through the remote and icy wilderness of the Ural Mountains in Soviet Russia. Their destination was Mount Ototen, a desolate peak whose name ominously translates to "Don't go there" in the local Muncie language. The route they had chosen was classified as Category 3, the most difficult level of mountain trekking at the time. Despite their skill and preparation, the group never made it to their destination. Weeks later, after the hikers failed to return, Soviet rescue teams launched a search. What they found only deepened the mystery. The group's tent had been discovered torn open from the inside, as if the hikers had desperately clawed their way out. Scattered footprints led away into the snow, many of them barefoot or in just socks, despite temperatures dropping below -20 degrees Celsius. Some bodies were found miles away, half-dressed. What could have driven them to flee into the freezing night in such panic and terror? Eventually, all 9 hikers were found, dead, their bodies scattered across the snowy terrain. but their injuries raised more questions than answers. Some had suffered massive internal trauma, with damage likened to a car crash, yet without any external wounds or signs of struggle. Even more disturbing, one woman was missing her eyes, part of her face, and her tongue. Despite the gruesome discoveries, there were no signs of a fight, no footprints of attackers, and no clear explanation for the horror they endured. The official Soviet explanation offered little clarity. The hikers, it stated, had died due to an unknown compelling force. This vague and unsettling phrase only fueled speculation. Making matters worse, the case files were quickly classified and kept secret for decades. The silence from authorities led to a storm of theories, ranging from covert military experiments and secret weapons testing to more sinister ideas involving KGB surveillance or interference. The mystery only grew deeper with time. A more recent and widely accepted theory points to a delayed slab avalanche as the cause. Supported by computer simulations and injuries consistent with being crushed by heavy snow, it suggests the hikers panicked and fled after their tent was compromised. However, skeptics argue the terrain wasn't steep enough for an avalanche, and no clear signs were found at the site. Even if snow was a factor, why would experienced hikers flee barefoot into minus 30 degrees Celsius temperatures without proper gear? The mystery still lingers. Others have proposed more unusual explanations for the hikers' terrifying fate. Bright orange spheres were reported in the sky on the night they fled, sparking theories of a UFO encounter. Some argue that infrasound, low-frequency sound waves created by wind patterns, may have induced irrational fear and panic in the group. Another theory suggests that something inhuman, possibly an unknown creature or force, was stalking them. These strange reports continue to fuel speculation, leaving the true cause of the hikers' deaths open to debate. Over 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved, and its mystery endures. The Ural Mountains, where the hikers met their grim fate, still whisper their names, as though holden secrets no one can decipher. The question continues to haunt. What could have terrified 9 strong, experienced hikers, people known for their rationality and training, so much that they fled into the freezing darkness without hesitation? The truth behind their deaths remains elusive, sparking endless speculation and fascination. In 1901, near the Greek island of Antikythera, sponge divers stumbled upon a 2,000-year-old shipwreck deep beneath the sea. Scattered among the cargo were incredible treasures, bronze statues, pottery, and ancient coins. But one object stood out, a strange, corroded lump of metal, seemingly insignificant. It was cracked and encrusted, appearing worthless at first. Yet hidden inside was something extraordinary, a complex mechanism that would go on to challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. The device turned out to be a remarkably intricate assembly of interlocking bronze gears, dials, and faded inscriptions, unlike anything ever seen from the ancient world. This mysterious artifact became known as the Antikythera mechanism. As researchers studied it more closely, they came to a stunning conclusion. It was an ancient analog computer, built sometime in the 1st or 2nd century BCE. Its sophistication far surpassed what anyone believed possible for that era, rewriting our understanding of ancient engineering. Using a complex system of gears powered by a hand crank, the Antikythera mechanism could do the unthinkable for its time. It predicted solar and lunar eclipses, tracked the movements of the known planets, and even calculated the exact timing of events like the ancient Olympic Games. It functioned as a celestial calendar with astonishing precision. What's even more incredible is that nothing matching its technological sophistication would appear again for over 1,000 years, making it one of the most advanced scientific tools of the ancient world. Who built the Antikythera mechanism remains a mystery, but many scholars believe it was the work of a brilliant mind like Archimedes or another Hellenistic inventor. The craftsmanship suggests it came from a sophisticated workshop, possibly influenced by the lost scientific knowledge of ancient Alexandria. That legendary city, home to the Great Library, once housed countless texts on astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. Wisdom that may have shaped the creation of this astonishing device now lost to time. What makes the Antikythera mechanism even more mysterious is the eerie silence that followed its creation. For centuries, no other device like it was ever found. How could such advanced technology exist in ancient times, only to vanish without a trace? Was it a one-of-a-kind invention or part of a broader knowledge that was lost in history's shadows? It would take over 1,000 years for humanity to reinvent anything remotely similar. The question remains, what other brilliant technologies have been lost to time, buried in the forgotten corners of history? Today, only about 1/3 of the Antikythera mechanism has been recovered from the seabed, leaving much of its original structure and purpose shrouded in mystery. Using advanced X-ray imaging and artificial intelligence, scientists have uncovered hidden inscriptions, intricate gear systems, and new functions that continue to amaze. Each breakthrough brings us closer to understanding its full capabilities, but also raises new questions. The deeper we explore this ancient marvel, the more it challenges what we thought we knew about the past. The Antikythera mechanism challenges our timeline of innovation. Who really knew what and when? It's a relic of genius and a reminder that history may be far more advanced than we ever imagined. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a blinding fireball streaked across the sky above central Siberia, turning early daylight into a fiery glow. Seconds later, a massive explosion rocked the region, estimated to be over 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The shockwave flattened more than 800 square miles of forest, snapping trees like matchsticks. And yet, despite the incredible force of the blast, no impact crater was ever found. In what would later be named the Tunguska event, the explosion's power was so immense that nearly 80 million trees were instantly flattened, all radiating outward from a central point in a massive, perfect circle. Witnesses living miles away described seeing a blinding column of fire streaking through the sky, followed by a series of thunderous booms that echoed like heavy artillery fire. The blast was so loud and powerful it shattered windows and knocked people off their feet hundreds of miles from the epicenter, yet its cause still puzzles scientists today. But here's the twist. Despite the explosion occurring in 1908, it wasn't until 1927, almost 20 years later, that scientists were able to reach the remote blast site. Led by Russian researcher Leonid Kulik, the team expected to find a massive impact crater and fragments of a meteorite. Instead, they were stunned to find none. There was no crater, no meteorite, and no obvious debris, only miles of scorched earth and flattened forest. The devastation was undeniable, but the lack of physical evidence made the Tunguska event even more baffling, deepening its mystery. The most widely accepted theory is that a comet or asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded mid-air due to intense atmospheric pressure. This massive explosion, known as a megaton airburst, is believed to have occurred between 5 to 10 kilometers above the ground. The energy released was equivalent to several million tons of TNT. This would explain the immense blast radius, the flattened trees, and the lack of an impact crater. Still, without physical fragments, the true cause of the Tunguska event remains open to interpretation and debate. Despite the prevailing theory, the Tunguska event still holds its share of oddities. In the aftermath, researchers noted unusual atmospheric phenomena, magnetic disturbances, and radiation levels that were higher than expected, suggesting that something more than just an airburst had occurred. Even more bizarre, some of the trees that survived the explosion exhibited accelerated growth in the decades following the blast. These strange anomalies continue to fuel speculation, adding layers of mystery to an already perplexing event. Alternate theories about the Tunguska event continue to circulate. Some claim it was a UFO crash, while others argue that Nikola Tesla's experimental death ray was being tested in the area. A few fringe researchers even suggest that a miniature black hole grazed Earth, causing the explosion. While these theories are intriguing and spark curiosity, none have been proven. The lack of conclusive evidence keeps the Tunguska event one of the most enduring and mysterious events in modern history, with possibilities that remain tantalizingly unexplained. Over a century later, the Tunguska explosion remains the largest impact event in recorded history, without a visible impact. What really happened in the sky above Siberia is still up for debate. In the 12th century, the quiet English village of Woolpit became the centre of a strange and unsettling tale. Farmers stumbled upon two children near a wolf trap, frightened and confused, speaking a language no one could understand. What made their discovery even more remarkable was their appearance. Both children had green-tinged skin, unlike anything the villagers had ever seen. The boy and girl were hungry and weak, and their mysterious origins sparked endless speculation, with theories ranging from otherworldly encounters to a more earthly, though equally bizarre, explanation. The children refused all food the villagers offered until they were given raw broad beans, which they eagerly devoured. Their skin remained a striking shade of green, unlike anything seen before in any known population. Even more puzzling, they spoke in a completely unfamiliar language that no one in Woolpit or in nearby towns could understand. Their strange behaviour and appearance left the villagers baffled, and rumours quickly spread of supernatural origins or visitors from a distant, hidden world. Eventually, the boy died, but the girl survived, and as she learned English, she told an unbelievable story. She and her brother came from a place called St. Martin's Land, where the sun never shone and everything was bathed in twilight. They'd been tending their father's cattle when a strange sound led them through a tunnel and into Woolpit. Some took this to mean they were from an underground world, perhaps a surviving pocket of another civilization. Others thought they had wandered in from a secluded village with unique diets and illnesses that caused the green tint, possibly malnutrition-induced anemia. But what was St. Martin's Land? According to the girl, it was a place of eternal twilight, where everything had a green hue. Yet no such place appears on any known map, and historians have never identified it. Was it simply a child's fantasy, a story shaped by trauma or confusion, or could it hint at something more mysterious? Some speculate the green children may have come from a hidden realm, perhaps a subterranean world or even a parallel dimension that briefly intersected with ours. Whatever the truth, the origins of St. Martin's Land remain as elusive as the children themselves. Some modern scientists theorize the green children may have suffered from hypochromic anemia or arsenic poisoning, rare conditions that could explain their greenish skin and weakness. Over time, as their health improved, their skin tone returned to normal. But folklorists offer a different view, pointing to age-old legends of changelings, children stolen by fairies and replaced with mysterious otherworldly beings. These tales often describe odd behavior, strange speech and unusual appearances, much like the green children of Woolpit. Science and myth continue to clash over their true origin. The girl eventually married and lived a normal life, but her past remained a mystery. To this day, no one knows who they really were or where they came from. The green children of Woolpit remain one of England's oldest unsolved mysteries. On May 26, 1828, a teenage boy mysteriously appeared in the streets of Nuremberg, Germany. He could barely walk, struggled to speak, and had the mannerisms of a much younger child. Clutched in his hand was a strange letter addressed to a local cavalry captain, claiming the boy's name was Kaspar Hauser. Beyond that, no one knew who he was or where he had come from. His sudden appearance and bizarre behavior would soon captivate all of Europe and launch one of the most puzzling identity mysteries in history. Kaspar Hauser showed the mental and physical development of a young child, despite being a teenager. He claimed he had spent his entire life in a tiny, dark room with no windows, never seeing the sun or interacting with anyone. He was fed by a mysterious man who remained unseen and taught only to write his name. His sudden appearance in Nuremberg baffled authorities and captivated the public. Rumors swirled across Europe. Was he the victim of a royal conspiracy or a cunning imposter? Either way, Kaspar's strange tale became one of the most mysterious cases of the 19th century. Kaspar Hauser quickly became a sensation, drawing crowds and headlines across Europe. People were fascinated by his innocence, strange past, and sudden appearance. Some believed he was the victim of a cruel psychological experiment, raised in isolation to study human development. Others were convinced he was the lost heir to a royal family, hidden away to prevent a succession crisis. One theory pointed to the Grand Duchy of Baden, where a prince had mysteriously died as an infant. Could Kaspar have been that child, secretly replaced and hidden for political reasons? The mystery only deepened. Then, strange and disturbing incidents began to occur. Kaspar was discovered with a deep wound on his head. He claimed he had been attacked by a hooded man. Months later, he was found stabbed in the chest. Once again, he blamed a mysterious man in black who warned him to stay silent. While some believed these attacks were real attempts to silence him, others grew suspicious, thinking Kaspar may have inflicted the injuries himself for attention or protection. As doubts grew, so did the tension around his true identity. Was he a fraud, or was someone truly trying to erase his past? In December 1833, Kaspar Hauser stumbled into a garden, bleeding from a deep stab wound to his chest. He He died 3 days later, taking the secrets of his past with him. In his pocket was a strange note written in mirror script, reverse text only readable in a mirror. The message contained odd phrases and a possible reference to his birthplace, but it made little sense and has never been conclusively deciphered. Was it a final clue left by an assassin, or something Kaspar wrote himself in a final act of desperation? His death, like his life, remains clouded in mystery. Modern DNA testing has been used to try and connect Kaspar Hauser to European royalty, particularly the House of Baden. Some tests suggested a possible link, while others found no match, leaving the results inconclusive. Supporters of the royal theory still believe he was a hidden prince, cast aside to avoid political conflict. Skeptics, however, argue Kaspar was a gifted manipulator, a pathological liar who craved attention and crafted an elaborate hoax. Nearly 2 centuries later, the debate continues, and Kaspar's true origins remain one of Europe's most haunting enigmas. On his tombstone, the words are engraved, "Here lies Kaspar Hauser, riddle of his time." Nearly 200 years later, we still ask, who was he? And why was his life buried in secrecy and shadows? In 1912, a rare book dealer, Wilfrid Voynich, uncovered a mysterious manuscript in a Jesuit library in Italy. Handwritten on vellum, the pages were filled with unknown script, bizarre plant drawings, puzzling astronomical charts, and strange human figures. Despite countless efforts by scholars, cryptographers, and code breakers, no one has ever been able to fully decipher its meaning. The book quickly gained notoriety as one of the world's most puzzling texts, now famously known as the Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript is written in a mysterious script that has never been seen before or since. No known language, ancient or modern, uses the same alphabet. Despite intense efforts by cryptographers, linguists, and code breakers over the last century, including experts from World War II and modern AI, no one has been able to decode its meaning. The characters appear structured and purposeful, yet defy translation. Some believe it's a lost language, others a clever hoax. Whatever the truth, the script remains unbroken, keeping the manuscript's secrets locked away. Carbon dating places the Voynich manuscript in the early 15th century, but its true origin remains a complete mystery. The content only deepens the puzzle. Its pages are filled with bizarre illustrations, plants that exist nowhere on Earth, nude women bathing in strange green pools, and astronomical diagrams that don't match any known celestial system. The images suggest themes of biology, alchemy, or astrology, yet offer no clear explanation. Scholars are divided. Some think it's a coded scientific work. Others suspect it's an elaborate prank. Still, no one truly knows why it was made, or by whom. Some researchers believe the Voynich manuscript is a secret herbal or alchemical manual, written in code to protect forbidden knowledge. Others argue it could be a constructed language, an invented script designed for an unknown purpose. Still, some suspect it's all an elaborate hoax from centuries ago, meant to deceive or amuse. Intriguingly, linguistic analysis shows statistical patterns similar to real languages, suggesting it has structure and meaning. Yet after decades of study, no one can definitively say what it means, or why it was created. The enigma continues to defy all attempts at decoding. Even artificial intelligence has taken a shot at deciphering the Voynich manuscript, analyzing patterns and comparing them to known languages. Some AI models have suggested possible links to Hebrew, others to Latin, and even Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. But despite these efforts, no translation has been universally accepted. Each promising lead ends in uncertainty, with no consensus among scholars or machines. The manuscript continues to resist all modern tools, leaving behind only speculation, intrigue, and an unbroken code that has defied understanding for over 600 years. Theories about the Voynich manuscript are as strange as the book itself. Some believe it was crafted by a secret society to conceal esoteric knowledge, possibly tied to alchemy or ancient rituals. Others suggest it's the product of a lost civilization, or even a message from another world. More skeptical voices argue it could be a brilliantly executed hoax, created centuries ago to fool scholars and collectors. Its intricate script and detailed drawings seem too purposeful to be nonsense, yet too elusive to make sense. Whatever its origin, the manuscript remains one of history's greatest literary enigmas. Today, the Voynich manuscript rests at Yale University, its meaning still unread, its purpose unknown. A book no one can read from an author no one can name, and its pages still whisper secrets in a voice no one understands. In 1966, 2 men were discovered dead on a hillside in Vintém, Brazil, under circumstances that defied logic. Both were dressed in formal suits and wore strange lead masks shaped like sunglasses, designed to shield their eyes. Nearby lay a cryptic note with odd instructions, referencing a specific time, capsule ingestion, and awaiting a mask signal. There were no signs of violence or struggle, only mystery. The case, known as the Lead Masks Incident, remains one of Brazil's most puzzling unsolved mysteries, sparking theories involving science, the occult, and the unknown. The 2 men, Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel José Viana, told family they were going to the hills to observe the phenomenon, a vague phrase that only deepened the mystery. Days later, their bodies were discovered lying side by side, with no signs of struggle or violence. Strangely, they wore matching lead masks, the kind that might protect against radiation. But there were no hazardous materials nearby, no signs of any experiment or danger. What were they protecting themselves from? And what exactly was the phenomenon they expected to witness? These questions have never been answered. The lead masks found on the men were unlike anything investigators had seen, thin, homemade and shaped to completely cover the eyes, possibly to shield them from some kind of blinding light. Alongside their bodies was a notebook containing bizarre, cryptic instructions: be at the place at 16:30, take capsules after the effect, protect metals, await signal. But there was no sign of capsules, no poisons in their system, and no clear cause of death. No wounds, no drugs, nothing. The case grew stranger by the hour, and the purpose of the masks and message remains unsolved to this day. Speculation quickly took over. Some believed the men were part of a secret government experiment, testing unknown technology or even weapons. Others pointed to the note and masks, suggesting they were trying to make contact with a UFO or protect themselves from a blinding, otherworldly force. Rumors spread that they had seen something in the sky. Another theory suggested a botched suicide pact linked to spiritualist beliefs. But no toxic substances were ever found in their bodies, and no clear motive was uncovered. The deeper authorities looked, the more bizarre the case became. Another theory proposes the men were part of a secretive cult or spiritualist group engaged in esoteric rituals. The strange instructions found in their notebook might have been steps in a mystical or occult process, perhaps to contact beings from another realm or ascend to a higher state of consciousness. The lead masks could have been intended to protect them during a supernatural encounter. Some believe they may have willingly followed a ritual that went terribly wrong. Others wonder if they succeeded and paid the ultimate price for glimpsing something not meant for human eyes. Some investigators speculated that Manuel and Miguel may have taken hallucinogenic substances, possibly as part of a spiritual or experimental ritual. This could explain their belief that they were communicating with extraterrestrial or supernatural beings. However, toxicology reports found no trace of drugs in their systems. Even if they were hallucinating, it doesn't explain the precise, methodical nature of the instructions, the handmade lead masks, or the complete absence of physical trauma. The question remains, what were they preparing for? And why did they die so mysteriously? Over 5 decades have passed, yet the case of the lead masks remains one of Brazil's most baffling mysteries. No conclusive evidence has ever surfaced to explain how Manuel and Miguel died, or what they were trying to achieve. The lead masks, the cryptic instructions, and the absence of any obvious cause of death continue to defy explanation. Were they shielding themselves from radiation, visions, or something far stranger? To this day, the hills of Intem whisper unanswered questions. What did they see? What were they preparing for? And what force, if any, claimed their lives in silence? In the western part of the Atlantic Ocean lies a mysterious stretch of sea and sky known as the Bermuda Triangle. Bordered by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this area has become infamous for the unexplained disappearances of ships, planes, and their crews. Navigation instruments fail, distress calls go silent, and vessels vanish without a trace. Over the decades, stories of vanished fleets and lost flights have sparked global intrigue. Scientists, skeptics, and believers alike have proposed countless theories, ranging from rogue waves and methane eruptions to time warps and alien abductions. Yet despite all the research and speculation, no one can say for certain what's truly happening in the Bermuda Triangle. The stories of mysterious disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle date back centuries, with early sailors reporting strange lights, sudden storms, and eerie calm seas. However, the term Bermuda Triangle wasn't coined until the 1950s, when author Vincent Gaddis popularized it in a magazine article. Since then, the region has been blamed for the vanishing of dozens of planes, ships, and entire crews, often without a single trace of wreckage. These incidents have captured the imagination of the world and fueled countless books, documentaries, and investigations. But despite all the theories, from magnetic anomalies to alien abductions, the true cause of these vanishings remains uncertain. Some researchers point to natural explanations, sudden, violent storms that can appear without warning, rogue waves towering over 100 feet, or underwater methane gas eruptions that reduce water density and cause ships to sink instantly. These phenomena, though rare, are scientifically documented and could explain some disappearances. Others suggest the region may be home to magnetic anomalies, irregularities in Earth's magnetic field that could disrupt compasses and navigation systems, causing pilots and captains to become hopelessly lost in a vast, unforgiving expanse of sea. One popular theory suggests that methane gas, trapped beneath the ocean floor, occasionally erupts in massive underwater bursts. When released, the gas rapidly rises to the surface, reducing the water's density and causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink almost instantly. If the gas reaches the atmosphere, it could disrupt aircraft engines, leading to sudden mechanical failure. This explanation, while not proven in every case, offers a compelling scientific possibility for some of the mysterious vanishings linked to the Bermuda Triangle. Other theories veer into the mysterious and speculative. Some believe the Bermuda Triangle may conceal ancient lost civilizations or powerful alien technology. Reports have surfaced of strange underwater formations, some shaped like pyramids, lying deep beneath the ocean's surface. Could these structures be remnants of Atlantis, long thought to be a myth? Or perhaps something even older, left behind by an advanced society or extraterrestrial visitors? The lack of concrete evidence only deepens the mystery. Then there are the more supernatural theories. Could extraterrestrials be involved? UFO sightings have been reported in the Bermuda Triangle for decades, with some claiming that alien forces are responsible for the disappearances. These theories suggest that travelers may have been abducted, or that the area serves as a portal to another world or dimension. Witnesses have described strange lights in the sky and other unexplained phenomena, fueling speculation that the triangle could be a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity or interdimensional travel. Despite numerous investigations and decades of research, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. Whether the cause is natural, man-made, or something beyond our current understanding, the unexplained disappearances continue to intrigue and terrify. From sudden storms to strange phenomena, the region's history is filled with eerie accounts. As new theories emerge and old ones are revisited, the Bermuda Triangle holds its place as a chilling enigma, still captivating the imaginations of explorers, scientists, and the public alike. From unexplained signals to vanishing civilizations, these historical puzzles remain open-ended, leaving us with more questions than answers. Whether it's the eerie disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, the mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colony, or the strange events of the Dyatlov Pass, these enigmas challenge our understanding of history. We may never know the full truth behind these events, but the search for answers continues to captivate us. All these stories, whether historical events or unsolved mysteries, highlight the limitations of our knowledge and understanding. They leave us with more questions than answers, urging us to look deeper into the past and continue to explore the unknown. These enigmas remind us that even in the age of technology, there are still vast areas of history in the world that remain hidden from us, waiting to be discovered. So, as we conclude this journey through some of the world's most baffling historical puzzles, we're left to ponder. What truly happened at the Bermuda Triangle? What became of the Roanoke settlers? Who were the mysterious green children of Woolpit, and what was their origin? What caused the tragedy at Dyatlov Pass? And what was the true purpose of the Antikythera mechanism? And finally, who or what was behind the strange deaths of the two men in Brazil? These mysteries continue to inspire curiosity, debate, and speculation, and will likely remain unsolved for many years to come. But that's part of the beauty of these mysteries. They keep us asking questions, and that search for answers, whether we find them or not, keeps history alive. It reminds us that there's always more to learn, more to discover, and more to understand. So, keep exploring, keep wondering, and keep questioning the unknown. If any of these mysteries left you fascinated or sparked your curiosity, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. Join the conversation and let us know which historical puzzle you find the most intriguing. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of history, because there's always more to uncover.